What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm here with my business partner Dave, business partner and good friend.
What's up, guys?
Today we're talking about money hacks that rich people don't want you to know about. The 1% doesn't want you to know about. I told him, I was like, let's just shoot a video. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about these money hacks and put the people on game, because a lot of people, especially where I come from, they don't know anything about money. They don't know anything about money. Dave made $6,000 in cryptocurrency. Literally last week he got it for free just for being on an app. So there's these little money hacks that if you really learned all of this stuff, you can grow your wealth very, very quickly.
So this is a money hack I was talking to Rene about earlier. It's really just like arbitrage. There is a cryptocurrency app that I was introduced to called Abra, and they pay you interest on your crypto, but they also do on stable coins 9% interest, which I don't know if you're following the United States economy or if you've seen money in a bank account right now, but that's like insane amount of interest for just having your money in cash. And stable coins are very stable and safe investment because they're tied to the US dollar, and there's not going to be any type of fluctuation to that. Even if they print more dollars, they basically match that with the coin. You're not going to lose the amount of it. I have a stock account that allows me to borrow against my stock account at 3.5%. So I borrowed as much money as I possibly could for 3.5% from my stock account, and I put it into this other account. It's 3.5% across the board is what I'm paying in interest, but I'm making 9%.
And pretty much what he's saying too is he's getting paid more to borrow money. Everyone thinks that debt is bad. Debt is not bad. Debt with no backup is bad, but let's say you can borrow something for 3% or 2% and you can make 9% on it. Why wouldn't you do that?
If you look at any rich person, they have a lot of debt, but it's good debt. It's not like crap on a credit card to go buy a watch, right? It's money that is used.
But even then, watches right now, if
you might actually be okay with that.
If you would have bought a watch on I'm not saying to go do this, by the way, but if you would have bought a watch on a credit card for like 50 grand, you probably could have flipped it for like 60 grand, depending on what kind of watch it was, because they appreciate in value. Another reason debt is good is because of inflation. I think about how much debt I have. Let's say I have 6 figures in debt. I think about a lot how I'm making money off of that debt because I use debt to fund some of my business. But you know, the amount of debt that we have is becoming less and less in value. So if I bought cryptocurrency with my debt and it went up 30-40%, I might owe some money, but that money is now more. On top of that, the money I owe loses value because of inflation.
Yeah.
You win 100%. Here's another big one I get. People always ask me why I haven't bought a house yet. Dave, how old were you when you bought a house?
This year, 34, right before my birthday.
34. I'm 26 years old. I haven't bought a house yet. A lot of people bring it up. The reason I haven't bought a house yet is because it kind of ties you to an investment. And that's the worst thing you want. What you want is cash. You want as much cash to deploy to then make money. When I say deploying cash, I'm talking about using your cash to make you money. That is the goal of wealth creation, of money. When you buy a house, you can no longer deploy the cash because you're stuck to it.
You're putting in a lot of money into that house, and you'd be surprised. I bought a brand new house. It's expensive to maintain a house, and like, I'm glad I did it. It was the right timing for me. I'm starting a family and stuff like that, so it's perfect. But like, for most people, renting is going to be a better move until you have a substantial amount of money to be able to put that down payment. It's not really going to affect you.
Because what a lot of people are doing, what you see a lot of people doing, they go and they buy these houses when it's everything they have. They use their entire like disposable monthly income, and they use it to buy a house. And now they're stuck to this house. It eats their income for the rest of their lives. They can never get out. They're trapped in a house payment. So let's talk more about crypto, Dave. What are your thoughts on crypto?
Crypto long term is going to be huge, and especially when they're talking about the metaverse and all that right now. But not only that, I actually got a opportunity to hear in person Michael Saylor. He's the CEO of MicroStrategy, and they're one of the companies that had the idea of, hey, let's take some of our treasury reserves. So these are companies, they have like hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars just sitting in the bank, and they're looking for a return on that investment, because having that in cash, like Rene just said, inflation 6%, you're losing value on that money every time. And he just bought tons and tons and tons of Bitcoin, and he was saying Bitcoin, there's 21 million of them. We probably lost about 6 million of them. So think there might be like 15 million of them. He said this is going to become the most scarce asset in the history of the world. And we're not here saying he's like 100% on point or whatever, But like people are really starting to get on board with this right now. And if you look at like Bitcoin, for instance, return, for the last 10 years, it's returned 200%. That's a pretty steady return. Now that doesn't mean every year it's gone up 200%. That means on average over 10 years, it's gone up 200%.
I have very little cash in the bank. I'm not ashamed to say it, but I do have a lot of cryptocurrency in a wallet.
Assets, yeah.
Yeah, I have that. That makes you feel better, and that's growing. That's how you grow your wealth. So cryptocurrency, it's the future. It's where we're headed anyways. A lot of countries are going that way. If you don't have cryptocurrency, you need to go get some.
And on the point of cash in the bank, the other thing that I'd say, man, is if you have a lot of cash sitting in the bank, our human tendency is we're gonna get comfortable. We're gonna be like, oh, I'm fine. But if you have that money deployed and you don't have a ton of money just sitting there, you're gonna be out hustling, you're gonna be working, because the idea is get cash, deploy it, get cash, deploy it. But if you're sitting on a bunch of cash, even though it's losing value, psychologically, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm good, I got all this money in the bank, and it will erode your motivation.
On top of that too, like the secret to wealth creation, people think that wealth creation is like you get a job and you make money. That's not really it. The way you make money is not by saving it, it's by deploying it correctly. And there's two parts of that. The first part is finding active income, a way to make money. I have my business, he has his business.
Yeah.
That's how we made a good sum of money in the beginning. The second part of that is taking that money you get from your active income and deploying it in the right places, whether it's real estate, cryptocurrency, using that money to get debt, right? Because banks will give you more money if you have more money. When you have all this stuff, you deploy that in the right places, eventually starts paying for your stuff. Like at some point, I want to be able to retire and let my money, because I made so much over my life, all the cash I've deployed, I want that to pay for my lifestyle. So I no longer need the active income. It's just getting paid for by all of my investments. So let's talk about paying yourself first. Dave, you want to explain what paying yourself first is?
Yeah, so paying yourself first is saying, look, I just made X amount of money and I am going to put some of it into my stash to deploy before I pay my bills, before I go out and enjoy my life, before I buy my groceries, whatever it is. People think, oh, I'll save money or I'll do that when I make more. But the fact of the matter is your lifestyle is always going to expand as you make more money. So you have to make this a discipline or else it's just not going to happen. And that's why the average person in the United States, they can't cover a $500 emergency. It's insane.
Yeah, that's the craziest part about it. People trap themselves by one of two things. They don't make enough money and they never get the amount of money they make up. Or for the people that do get their money up, they spend more than they invest. So when you're spending more money because you're making more money, you're still in the trap. You're still in the 9 to 5. You're still in the rat race where you have to work, otherwise you can't pay your bills.
Yeah.
So the goal is to make a lot of money, to not spend as much you make, and deploy that cash so then it starts making money for you. It's like all of the dollars you make, they're little workers, they're little employees. For people that say you can't afford employees, physical employees, that's a lie, because the money you have is a little employee, and if you have it do the right work for you, it's gonna start making money. So some people have millions of employees, some people have dozens, it doesn't matter. The point is, if it's working for you, it's growing slowly.
There's a psychological principle that I call the stretch principle, and what I mean by that is every now and then, it's good to give yourself a taste of something that's a little outside of your means. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to go and blow a bunch of cash and do something stupid with it. But when you experience something in your lifestyle that you don't normally experience and you're like, man, this is awesome, your brain will figure out a way to give you more of that in your life. So case in point, this year my wife and I were like, hey, we want to get a chef cooking for us a few times a week. So chef comes in, starts cooking for us, and we're like, this is amazing. And now we've had a chef coming to us every single week for the entire year, and that's never going to go away because it's so convenient, it gives us more time to do stuff. When you do things like that and you give yourself a taste of something that's going to give you more time, that's going to give you more leverage, it's unbelievable, and your brain will figure out a way to keep it in your life.
And I can agree to that. So one thing, I got this from you actually, Dave was the one that told me this. I've decided I only fly first class now. Before, to me, it seemed like a waste of money, right? I was like, for 5 hours, I'm paying thousands of dollars to fly on a plane. And then I realized I'm gonna make a promise to myself, and this helps me make more money. Also, it helps me like get out of that mindset of like, I need to save my money. I don't want to fly anything else.
The last thing I think is really, really important is you have to have an abundance mindset. If you're you're thinking in terms of scarcity and you're like, oh, like I don't want to spend like $2 on this coffee or whatever, I can make it at home. Like that is not how wealthy people think. Wealthy people are thinking there is abundance of money. And you know what's crazy? If you go outside right now and you take a look around, what do you see? You see buildings, you see vehicles, you see road. Like, guess what? Somebody owns all of that stuff. It's never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness.
100%. That's probably the worst advice that I always hear people talk about. Oh, you need to not stop buying coffee. That's not true. You need to learn how to make more money.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. Like, I'm not gonna go and buy a Ferrari if it's gonna keep me stuck to my job, but a coffee will never do that to you. No one ever got rich from saving. Let's say you stay at a job and you make 100 grand a year, you make a lot of money. With that money, you just save it. It's still gonna take you 10 years to have $1 million. That's before accounting for taxes, before accounting for where you live. It's gonna take you 10 years to make $1 million. Whereas if you go out and learn how to make more, you can make $1 million in a year. I know I've done it before. I know he's done it before. That's the fastest way out. The more money you invest, regardless of what it is, you're bound to get a return on that, whether it's books, whether it's courses, whether it's in yourself, whether it's in your business, whatever it is. If you invest that money, don't be afraid to, because it's gonna come back.
So to recap, a couple of really important things. One, look for opportunities to use other people's money that you can get a better return. Number two, don't be afraid to spend money on things.
Number three, find a way to generate an active income and then use that money to invest in assets. Like I said, real estate, cryptocurrency, even the stock market. That's way better than having cash in the bank. Cash in the bank is not good. You wanna have your money in assets.
Finally, pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. All right, guys, so if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna be trying to drop more videos. If you guys like Dave and you want Dave in more videos, make sure you comment that you like Dave. Dave, what do you want them to say in the comments?
I wanna see more of Dave. If you want to hear more stuff, me and Rene are good buddies. I can do more of this with him for sure.
Awesome, and like always, love you guys.
Break rules, never make 'em. She act up, I replace her.